On Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath before Purim, a holiday that celebrates the Jews' escape from Haman's plot to destroy us, we read verses from Deuteronomy, chapter 25, that command us to remember the misdeeds of an ancestor of Haman. Remember what Amalek did to you. We read early in the Israelites wandering in the desert. A nomadic tribe called the Amalekites made a surprise attack on stragglers at the rear of the group, the very young and very old, the sick and the weak. For this monstrous crime, the Amalekites are forever cursed. You shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Ever since, many Jews have understood Amalek as a prototype for the forces of hatred, oppression, and anti-Semitism that have plagued us throughout history. But if this is the case, what does the Torah teach us we should do? Attempt genocide as a self-defense? This seems to be God's expectation of Saul in this week's special Haftarah from 1 Samuel. Now go, the prophet tells Saul, attack Amalek. Spare no one, but kill alike men and women, infants and sucklings, oxen and sheep, camels and asses. Some might take this verse as permission in exceptional circumstances to brutally attack and destroy those who do us wrong. But as Michael Fishbane has taught regarding the annual recitation of this passage, it requires repeated moral and theological reflection. I believe a literal interpretation of the Haftarah text must be applied only reluctantly, if ever. We must, at the very least, pay close attention to the question of who or what qualifies as an Amalek. Fair game for our retribution. Though we continue to encounter those who would harm us, Jewish wisdom overwhelmingly suggests that we must always seek first to defeat them without destroying them. Furthermore, we might question the authority of any voice that might urge such a course of action. Samuel was a great prophet of God's word, but who may claim the role of Samuel today? Other strands of our tradition prefer to read the story of Amalek as a metaphor in which the Amalekites stand for the consequences of our own shortcomings. A midrash tells of a king who had a vineyard guarded by a vicious dog and enclosed by a fence. If anyone comes and breaches the fence, the king said, the dog will bite him. A few days later, the king's own son came along and breached the fence, and the dog bit him. From then on, whenever the king wanted to remind his son of his sin in breaking into the vineyard, he would ask him, do you remember how the dog bit you? Just before the battle with Amalek in Exodus 17, the Israelites had wavered in their faith, complaining to Moses, and they had asked, is Adonai among us or not? Amalek, according to this parable, was our punishment for lack of faith. And remembering Amalek, we remember to work toward the destruction of our own spiritual weaknesses. As we prepare for the revels of the Feast of Esther, Fishbane's warning resonates. The carnival quality of Purim celebrations may dangerously mask the serious moral issues. Nothing can be more serious nor more contemporary than the contemplation of national survival, whether Israel's, its allies, or its adversaries.